production was split into 3 roles because there were 3 of us in the group. I was given the role of director. Our iconography was a conscious choice to make the artist as ambiguous as possible. While not typical of our genre, the absence of iconography could in itself be considered iconography. I decided that the subject of our video was going to be unhuman or inhuman in some way. I wanted it to be a bit bizarre and alien. The song in itself is quite abstract, so I thought it'd fit. I eventually decided on having a rabbit character for a couple of reasons. In most common cultures, rabbits or bunnies are representative of curiosity and innocence. We can certainly see that in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, a really famous example. One line of the song in particular makes reference to a woman. In many different countries' theoretical libraries of folklore and culture, rabbits have been known to represent femininity. They can also represent androgyny, however, which is why our subject was so ambiguous and devoid of specific gender. In our first draft of ideas, we originally had 2 characters featured in the video. While we ended up with a conceptual video in the end, this added more of a narrative feel. The visuals of the tunnel represent a journey and how the subject of our video, the rabbit, hangs around inside it. They can't move on. The visuals of the graves were conscious as well. We wanted to include some imagery of mourning or just death. The visuals of the trees could be considered symbolic as well. In many different cultures, the Tree of Life is a popular myth. It supposedly connects heaven and the underworld, so it fits with our theme of purgatory and moving on from death.
So my role was the cinematographer, so I basically just wanted to make sure that the visuals and stuff fitted with the music. So at the beginning we had where the music was organ sounds, we had church visuals, and it complemented them really well in the edit. And when there's a change in the music towards the end, we've got shots of a slower pace, and I think this works really well in the edit. So I imagined the video being very uncanny and alien and ominous and stuff like that. So, and I think that the shots that made its way into the edit complement this concept really, really well. So some of my favourite shots are the rabbit looking at the gravestone because it's framed really nicely in a cinematography point of view, and it conveys the naivety and inexperience. I also like the montage with the jump cuts in the underpass because there's loads of symmetry and it displays the playfulness or childishness of the character, which I think is conveyed really well. Also, some of the effects I liked with the shots, like the camcorder effect. It adds to the uncanny feeling of the video and the character's curiosity and with the new world that they are exploring. Another element of the video that I was very involved with was the costume, because the blue and red of the scarf and the coat complement each other really well, and because we filmed the video mostly in green nature, they stand out and we can highlight these colours in the edit to make them brighter. And also the long coat was gender neutral, so it adds to the ambiguity of the gender of the character. We used a mask, which also adds the uncanny and stands out in the locations and adds the otherworldly effect, or the rabbit being like a higher being or something like that.
I cut the sequences together trying for some sort of continuity, but in the end it all makes sense once you've watched it maybe once or twice. The shots create a consistent story and tie roughly together in the end. It's a concept video, so it was a little different to make a thorough story throughout the entire shot. We used jump cuts for the montage scenes. Hopefully this could represent the passing of time as the character understands their surroundings more and more. It could show how long it takes for someone to get over something, or to accept that it's happened, such as a tragic event. Rabbits could represent lost souls or childhood, so an idea we came up with was to use the figure, vagueness of the story, to show someone or something readjusting to living after something's happened, which most people we thought could relate to. These people we thought it could relate to would be our target audience's age demographic, which was older males, between around 30 and 50. The leaf in our video could represent many things, but whilst I was editing, I thought personally that it could be a bad past experience or memory that changed them as a person that they want to get rid of. In the video, I put emphasis on the bleakness of the environment by adding a colour mask and lowering the saturation. This could show the character's outlook on life, which is a nice in-between-the-lines idea. The saturation is very low on the environment. I chose to cut on the beats of the video along with the sun to show significant changes. For example, they dropped the leaf on the beat, maybe showing the heaviness and strength needed to let it go. Most of our jump cuts were also on the beats. As the editor, I thought it just looked more aesthetically pleasing. I used a blade tool to do that. As for transitions, we didn't use any cross-cutting as it didn't really fit with the theme. We zoomed in on many of the shots. Actually, the second shot we took was a zoom in on a clock face. It was difficult to do, but I managed to put some stabilisation on in post-production. Doing this, I think, leads the audience's eyes inwards so they follow along with the story. We mostly use panning, so that directs the audience's eyes more to the character's actions as to what they are and what they're doing. As Ellie mentions, this helps with symbolism, as that is the most important feature of the video, it being a concept. Probably one of the most prominent things you may notice from watching our video is it has a cartoon effect over the entire thing. The cartoon effect makes it seem softened in the message of loss and grief, so it makes it surreal. Sometimes life seems that way. The cartoon effect makes it look more ethereal, which is what we wanted to do with the video. We wanted to make it not talking down to younger audiences, but maybe with a message that only older people could really understand. The fade transition in the middle is the Volta, the turning point of the video, for me at least, as it shows the character's change in mind as they're moving on. It's striking, and it's probably my favourite transition in the whole project. The titles at the end were to promote and credit the artist. They need as much attention as possible, and we thought it was only right to make sure they got the credit for their music. The font fits with the themes as it's spiky and natural, like the sun. Saturation from the colour mask took quite a bit of time in post-production, but the overall effect looks good. In post-production, I used jump cuts for the underpass scene, as it shows the passage of time and discovery. The reason this works so well is that all the shots were from static, so they didn't move and it all looked like the same shot throughout, although it wasn't. I manually changed each of the colour effects for each shot to make it look consistent. We chose a certain percentage on exposure that we manually put over every single shot.